Hello everyone. I'm Dr. Divya Gupta, the original guru of Periodontics at DBMCI MDS, and today we are here to discuss the Rajasthan MO paper which was held recently from Perio. Basically, 7 questions were asked, so we will be discussing all those 7 questions. And if you have any doubt in any of these questions, just let me know in the comment section and we can clarify the doubts. Okay. So now the first question is Perol CG dimension. What is the dimension of Perol CG? Now, what is Perol CG? Perol CG is basically a local drug delivery system. Perol CG is a local drug delivery system. And which local drug is delivered with Perol CG? It is chlorhexidine. So, 2.5 milligram of chlorhexidine molecules are incorporated in this membrane. And what we do is wherever a localized deep periodontal pocket is present, we can place this membrane in that region and it slowly gets, the chlorhexidine slowly gets released and causes disinfection of the periodontal membrane, causes has a bactericidal effect and the bacteriostatic effect on the bacteria present into the periodontal pocket. Now, the dimensions of this membrane. So, basically, the dimensions of this membrane are 4 into 5 millimeters and the thickness of this membrane is 0.25 to 0.32 mm. So, here you can see that 4.5 is common in all the 4 options. The only difference is in the thickness. So, you have to remember that the thickness of this Perol CG membrane is 0.25 to 0.32. So, the answer to this question is number D, which is 4 into 5 into 0.25 to 0.32 mm. Now, this 0.25 to 0.32 mm is the thickness of the membrane. Okay. Now, the next question. The next question is, all are examples of universal curets except. Okay. All are the examples of universal curets except the options are number A, Gracy curet 1 and 2. Option number B is Mecca's 1718. Option number C is Columbia curets and option number D is Younger Good. Now guys, what are curets? First that you have to know. Curets are basically the instruments which are used for root planing and curettage of the soft tissue, okay, during a periodontal treatment. Now, the difference between a scaler and a curet, what is the difference? So, scalers basically are used for supragingival scaling and you can use them for superficial subgingival scaling, okay. Deep subgingival scaling cannot be done with the help of scalers. Okay. Now, the tip, there is a difference in the tip of the scalers and the curets. So, when we see a cross section, when we look at the cross section of a scaler, the shape of the cross section is like this. It is beak shaped. Beak shaped for scaler. Okay. So, this is the front surface. This is the top surface of the curet. This is the face of the curet. This is the face of the curet. These are the lateral edges. These are the lateral surfaces of the curet. Okay, these are the lateral surfaces of the curet. And the edge, at the point where the face and the lateral surfaces meet, this point is called the cutting edge. This is the cutting edge of a scaler. Now here, this pointed, this beak shaped thing that you see in the cross section of the tip of the scaler, this is responsible for this is a sharp instrument, right? So, it can cause injury to the underlying tissues. Therefore, it cannot be used for subgingival scaling. Also, they are bulkier instruments. The scalers are bulkier instruments. Therefore, they cannot penetrate that much deep. Now, in contrast to the scaler, when we look at the curets, okay, when we look at the curets, the tip of the curet, when we look at the curet, the tip of the curet in the cross section is spoon shaped. It is spoon shaped Okay. And when we will look, it is somewhat like this. So this is the face of the curate, right? These are the lateral surfaces. And this is the surface which is going downwards, right? It is in contact with the connective tissue. So this surface allows what? Because of the convex surface or the spoon-shaped surface, we can easily penetrate deeply. These curates are easier to penetrate into the deep pockets. They will not injure the surrounding tissues. Plus, they are more narrower instruments. So, therefore, they are used for subgingival scaling. They are used for root planing. They are used for periodontal curettage or soft tissue curettage. Okay, this is the cutting edges of curates. Now, these curets basically can be of two types. These curets can basically be of two types, which is universal curets and Gracy curets or area specific curets. Gracy or area specific curets. Now, what is the difference between Gracy curets and area specific curets? See, in cross section, when you will look at a curate, this will be the shape of the curate. Okay. This will be the shape of the curate and this will be the shape of the scalum. But these two curates, universal curates and Gracy curates, the basic structure is same and the basic function is same, except that universal curate is designed in such a way that only a single double-ended instrument can be used on all the tooth surfaces, while Gracy curates or the area-specific curates are designed in such a way that they can be used in specific areas and therefore they are numbered, means they are set of instruments, while universal curates are only single instruments that can be used on different tooth surfaces just by manipulating the two ends. Okay. So, when you will look at a curate, this is how a curate looks. Okay, so this is how a curate looks. This is the design which I explained it to you. This is the face of the curate. Okay, this is the face of the curate. Here, when you will look at this is the toe, right? This is the tip of the instrument, and this toe, what it does? It goes inside the tissues and thus it will not, because of its curved surface, it will not injure the tissues, right? And when you will look it in the cross section, this is how a curate look. This angle between the face and the lateral surface is 70 to 80 degrees, and this 70 to 80 degrees is common for both, whether scalar or curates. It is common for both. Okay. This is the lateral surface and this is the back of the curate. The cross section which I showed you is a cross section like this. When I cut the tip like this and view it from the front, this is how my curate will look. Okay. Now, the basic type of difference between the two curates, the area specific and the universal curate, is this. This is the universal curate and this is the area specific curate. Okay. Area specific curates. Now, here you can see that the tip of the instrument, of the universal instrument, is at a 90 degrees. It is at a 90 degrees to the shank, right? It is at a 90 degrees angle to the shank, while the area specific curate, it has an offset blade. It has an offset blade and this angle is 60 degrees in a area specific curates. Because of this design difference, because of the differences in this design, in an area specific curate or a Gracy curate, only this surface, whichever is the working end, there you will see a bevel and only that area can be used for curettage. The other area, this area cannot be used because of the offset blade or offset working angle. Okay. So these universal curates, this is the basic difference between the area specific and universal curates. It has the angle with shank is 90 degrees. Here it is 60 degrees. It can be single instrument. It is a single instrument. It is a set of instruments. It is a set of instruments. This is curved in one plane, curved in one plane, and this area specific curate is curved in two planes. Okay. So this is how a area specific curate will look. This is the offset blade and it is curved in two planes. This offset blade mostly it is 60 to 70 degrees angle. Okay. Now let us see the examples of the universal curate. The examples, how you can remember the examples of universal curate. The examples of universal curate are, first you have to remember the word Columbia. Okay. Columbia. Columbia instruments. Now there are different Columbia universal curates which are Columbia anterior, Columbia posterior and Columbia universal. Okay. This is the example of universal curate. To remember the other examples, you have to remember one mnemonic which is Indian rule is to burn and mallet iron. The mnemonic which you must remember is Indian rule is to burn and mallet iron. Okay. So now here, which other instruments you need to remember? See, Columbia word you remember. The other instruments which you need to remember are Indiana University, Indiana University 13 and 14. Okay. So basically, if you remember the numbers, it is good. If you don't remember the numbers also, it is fine. Because in exam, if you will see the word Indiana University, okay, you will know, okay, this is a universal curate. Okay. Next is rule. So, rule 3 and 4. So, here you can remember that Indiana may I and I is there. So, 1 and 1. 1, 3, 1, 4. Similarly, rule mein E is there. So, here 3 you remember. Okay, 3 will be there. So, 3, 4 is the number of rule. Next is Indian rule is to burn. So, the next is Barnhart. 5 and 6. Barnhart and Bunting. Bunting is also 5 and 6. So, Indian rule is to burn. Barnhart and Bunting both are 5 and 6. Okay. Burn you have to remember. From burn you will get Barnhart and Bunting. Next is Mallory. Okay. So, these are the Mallory 1 and 2. So, these are the examples of the universal curates. Examples of area specific curate is Gracy curate. Okay. Gracy curates have different numbers. I'll just tell you. Gracy curates. Basically come in different numbers, and it is a paired instrument. All the curates are paired instruments. Paired means 1 and 2 are the two ends of the same instrument. If this is the instrument, here also one cutting edge is there, here also one cutting tip is there. Okay. So, 1, 2 and 3 and 4 is for anterior teeth. This is the most commonly asked question. See, curates may say, you take any exam, whether your NEET, INI, your any PSC paper, all the papers can have a question from instruments chapter. And basically scalars and curates, they are very important. So, you must know. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then 5, 6 is for anterior teeth and premolar. Anterior and premolar. Then 7, 8, 9, 10. 7, 8. 9, 10 is posterior teeth, facial and lingual surfaces, posterior teeth, facial and lingual surfaces. Okay. Then 11, 12 is posterior teeth, mesial surfaces, posterior teeth, mesial surface. 14, 15, sorry, 13, 14. 13, 14 is posterior teeth, distal surface. Okay, posterior teeth, distal surface. Then there are modifications of Gracie curates which are 15, 16, 17 and 18. Okay. So this is about the universal curate. Now let us see the question once again. All are examples of universal curate except Mecca's 17 and 18 is an example of universal curate. Okay, that you have to remember, that is not given in the answer, but it is there. Columbia curates are there, younger curates are there. We definitely know that Gracie curate is not a universal curate. So the answer to this question is Gracie curate 1 and 2. Okay. Now the next question. Next question is, all are primary colonizers. So this is a question from dental plaque chapter. All are primary colonizers except option number A, Streptococcus intermedius, option number B, Streptococcus constellatus, option number C is Streptococcus gordini, and option number D is Streptococcus mitis. For answering this question, you must remember this chart. This chart is very important. Basically, this was given by Sukransky. And what Sukransky did was, he studied the plaque samples from approximately 185 individuals. Okay. From 185 individuals, the plaque samples were taken. And how many plaque samples did he study? He studied approximately 13,000, which is 13,000. To be specific, it is 13,261 plaque samples he studied under the microscope. And whatever microorganisms were taken together, means the organisms which were obtained together, he clubbed them, he clustered them in one complex. And that's why he has given these different complex colors, and he has grouped different microorganisms accordingly. So, here the microorganisms are divided into early colonizers and late colonizers, or primary colonizers and secondary colonizers. So, the primary colonizers are the bacteria which colonize the pellicle, which first get attached to the tooth surface with the help of the pellicle, and they will utilize all the oxygen that is present there surrounding the tooth surface. Okay, whatever oxygen is present there surrounding the tooth surface, they will utilize it and create an anaerobic organism, anaerobic atmosphere, so that the anaerobic microorganisms can come and survive in that environment. So the primary colonizers which are there are mostly aerobic, then facultative anaerobic, and the secondary colonizers are mostly obligate anaerobes. Okay. Now, the organisms which are included in the primary colonizers belong to purple complex and yellow complex, guys. Okay. They belong to purple complex and yellow complex. So, this group is the primary colonizers. Okay. What happened was, when he when Sukransky isolated the microorganisms and studied, he saw that actinomyces is a species which is found with different clusters. Means sometimes it was obtained only and only alone and not grouped with other organisms. Sometimes it was grouped with other organisms. So actinomyces is an independent species. You have to remember this, that actinomyces is an independent species, but actinomyces A was frequently obtained along with green complex bacteria. So he clubbed the actinomyces A species into green complex bacteria. Otherwise, other actinomyces species are independent species. Okay, actinomyces A is the strain. So basically, actinomyces has 6 strains from A to F, and out of this, A is responsible for aggressive periodontitis. Strain A is responsible for aggressive periodontitis, and it was obtained along with the bacteria of green complex, guys. So you have to remember that green complex bacteria consist of actinomyces A also. Okay. Now let us see the bacteria in purple complex. In purple complex, there are AV. You have to remember the mnemonic AV. AV means audiovisual. A for actinomyces odontolyticus and V for Veillonella peruvala. Okay. Next is yellow complex. Up yellow complex mein you don't need to remember all these strains. You just need to remember the species, and the species which is present in yellow complex is the Streptococcus species. Streptococcus species is present in yellow complex except one. There is only and only one exception which you have to remember is Streptococcus constellatus. This Streptococcus constellatus is a part of orange complex. So the exception which you need to remember, this is asked frequently in NEET also and INI also. So the exception which you need to remember is Streptococcus species is present in yellow complex. All Streptococcus species are a part of yellow complex except Streptococcus constellatus. Okay, this much you need to remember. Now, primary colonizers completed. Now, let us come to the secondary colonizers. The organisms of secondary colonizers. The first is how you will remember it. You have to remember the traffic light signals. Traffic light consists of green, orange, red, right? Green means you are good to go. There is no harm, there is no danger, right? Similarly, the bacteria which are present in the green complex are responsible for periodontal health. Periodontal health. All these points which I am saying, guys, is very important for MCQs. So note them down somewhere. Okay, and the mnemonic to remember this green complex is ACE. ACE. A for Aggregatibacter actinomycetum comitans strain A. C for Capnocytophaga species. You need not remember all these strains. You just need to remember the species name, which is Capnocytophaga, and Echinella corrodens. Echinella species is present. ACE. Okay. Now next is the orange complex. Orange complex bacteria are, so orange light. What does orange light means? Now you have to slow down. There can be some danger, so you have to be very cautious. Similarly, orange complex bacteria are the bacteria which are responsible, which is a bridging group. It is a bridging bacteria between the red complex and the green complex bacteria. It is present in unattached plaque. These bacteria are found in the periodontal pocket, in the unattached plaque. And the important bacteria to remember here is the Campylobacter Fusobacterium nucleatum. This Fusobacterium nucleatum species is the most important bridging bacteria. So another important point is the bridging bacteria. Bridging bacteria is the Fusobacterium nucleatum. It is a part of orange complex. Okay. Next is Prevotella intermedia, which is an important bacteria present in this group. Prevotella intermedia is a bacteria which increases in pregnancy. And this is also a part of orange complex bacteria. Other bacteria which is here present is the Campylobacter rectus, Campylobacter species. Okay, so the three species which you need to remember here is the Prevotella, Campylobacter and Fusobacterium. Okay, these three species are a part of orange complex bacteria. Apart from that, Streptococcus constellatus, which is an exception. Okay. Lastly, there is a red complex bacteria. Red means danger. So these are the bacteria which are the dangerous bacteria. These bacteria are related with bleeding on probing. Bleeding on probing. Responsible for bleeding on probing. And to remember them, you need to remember the mnemonic PTT. PTT. Prothrombin time. P for P. gingivalis. T for Tannerella forsythus. And T for Treponema cola. Okay, guys. So red complex bacteria are easier to remember. These are the bacteria which are responsible for periodontal destruction. These are the bacteria responsible for periodontal destruction. Okay. So now let us come back to the question. All are primary colonizers except, so the answer here is Streptococcus constellatus. Streptococcus intermedius, Gordonian and Mitis are a part of yellow complex except Streptococcus constellatus, which is a part of orange complex. Okay. Now the next question, guys. The next question is Nd:YAG laser wavelength. So now in PSCs also the laser is it is a growing trend, and in NEET and INI they are asking questions related to laser, which is an important topic now because it is a trend. It is trending in the market, right? Similarly, in PSCs also they have started asking questions related to lasers. So you should have a basic knowledge about lasers. I have discussed this laser topic in detail in live sessions as well as in recorded session, guys. So if possible, just go back and have a look at the laser topic very nicely, because we don't know that much about lasers in our undergraduation, and questions are asked now. So you should have a brief idea of about the functioning of laser, the different wavelengths and their functions as well. Okay, so the different wavelengths of lasers that are used for periodontics, for soft tissue surgeries, for hard tissue surgeries are different wavelengths of lasers that are used are basically we use the first laser that we used in periodontics is the diode laser, the most commonly used laser. Diode laser, it is a soft tissue laser, and here the wavelength of this laser varies from 800 to 980 nanometers. This is important, the wavelength, so I'll write it down in red. The wavelength is from 800 to 980 nanometers. Okay, now the next laser is Nd:YAG. Nd:YAG means neodymium yttrium atrium garnet. Neodymium, I'll write it down here. Neodymium yttrium aluminum garnet. Okay, this is how why a laser is called as diode laser, because the medium that is used is the diode. The medium here in Nd:YAG that is used is the neodymium yttrium aluminum garnet, is the medium for generation of photons. Okay, this is a vast topic. I cannot explain everything here in this, but yes, you must know that this is the medium through which the laser light is generated. So Nd:YAG, it has a wavelength of 1064 nanometers. Next is erbium chromium. Erbium YAG, same. Yttrium aluminum garnet, instead of neodymium there is erbium used, and the wavelength of erbium is, so the wavelength of erbium YAG that is there is 2940 nanometer, and the wavelength for erbium YAG YSG, erbium chromium YSGG, is 2780. Okay, so these are the wavelengths which are used. Out of this, Nd:YAG is a soft tissue laser. It is a good soft tissue laser. Nd:YAG is a soft tissue laser. Erbium YAG and YSG are best for hard tissue plus soft tissue laser. Next comes the carbon dioxide laser, in which the medium which is used is the carbon dioxide, and the wavelength of light which is there is more than 10,000 nanometers. It is also both a hard tissue laser and a soft tissue laser, but the only disadvantage of carbon dioxide laser, it is very expensive, it is very big. Plus, what it does is pulpal damage. There are chances because it is rapidly absorbed by the hard tissues and the light rapidly enters the pulp. So, there are chances of pulpal damage. Therefore, carbon dioxide laser is not that much used. Other lasers, best laser to use on hard tissue and soft tissue is the DBMCI laser. Though it is a costly laser, other lasers that can be used for soft tissues are the diode laser. The only laser which is like more economical and a soft tissue laser is the diode laser. Okay. Now so here the answer to this question is 1064. The wavelength of Nd:YAG which is used is the 1064 nanometers. Okay. Now the next question is lymphocytes are predominant cells found in which stage of gingivitis? So guys, there are 3 stages of gingivitis which are there. Stage 1, which is the initial lesion. Stage 2 is the early lesion. And stage 3 is the established lesion. The initial lesion develops in 2 to 4 days. The early lesion in 4 to 7 days. And the established lesion in 14 to 21 days. How this is decided? So, a scientist called Lowe did a study and he refrained the dogs from brushing, means he didn't brush the dog's teeth for at least 30 days. And then he saw how much amount of plaque was accumulated and what were the gingival changes that happened in that beagle dogs. Okay. So, these were the findings which he found. So, in the 2 to 4 days, he saw that there was initial vascular dilation, vasculitis. The cells which dominated in the initial in 2 to 4 days were polymorphoneutrophils, leukocytes. So, the predominant cells in first 2 to 4 days is this. And there was increase in the GCF flow. At 4 to 7 days, means within 1 week, there was predominance of lymphocytes, vascular proliferation, and the bleeding on probing was also seen in the dogs. And at 14 to 21 days, the plasma cells were the cells which predominated, and there was change in the color, contour, consistency of the gingiva. So here, stage 2, lymphocytes. It is asked that lymphocytes are predominant cells in gingivitis. In which stage? We have studied that it is stage 2. So the answer here is stage 2. Now the next question, guys. According to Goldman and Cohen classification, 3-wall defects are what? So Goldman and Cohen gave a classification for vertical defects. Goldman and Cohen gave a classification for vertical defects. Okay. And he classified that if, suppose here is the tooth. Okay. We consider that here is a tooth present and we consider the tooth is kept in a box. Okay. We consider the tooth is kept in a box. Okay. The tooth is kept in a box. Okay. And only one side we are taking. This side is open. The sides, the walls. So this is how the box will look. Okay. This we will see. This is only one side we are seeing of the box. It is open from top and below. The walls of the box are 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay, this is the back. This is 1, 2, 3 and 4. Okay. So now if only one wall is present, only one wall, Goldman classify the vertical defects based, this is very important because most of you will get confused in this, based on number of walls present. So guys, just ये अपने दिमाग में बिठा लो कि based on the number of walls present, they gave the classification. So if only one wall is present, it is called as one wall defect. One wall is present. One wall present, it is called as hemiseptum. Hemiseptum or one walled defect. Okay, so here it will mean that only number 1 is present, 3, 4 and 2, 3 and 4 are absent. Okay. Next is two-wall defect. Two-wall defect means two walls are present, means 1 and 2 are present, 3 and 4 are absent. And three-wall defect. Three-wall defect means 3 walls are present. Okay? Means only one wall is absent, guys. And two walls and three-wall defects are basically three-wall defects. Deep three-wall defects are the best defects to be treated with periodontal regeneration. One-wall defect cannot be treated. It is a contraindicated to do periodontal regeneration because there will be no results found in single wall defect. Okay. So according to Goldman and Cohen classification, three wall defects are 3 osseous wall present, 2 osseous wall absent, 1 osseous wall present, 2 osseous wall present, 1 osseous wall absent, 3 osseous walls are absent. Many of you will get confused, but the answer here is 3 osseous walls are present, is a 3-wall defect. Now the last question of this session is radiographic signs of trauma from occlusion includes what? So what is TFO? TFO is the abnormal forces which are exerted onto the periodontium is what causes trauma, and it causes changes, certain changes into the periodontium. So let us see what are those changes. So the radiographic signs. Radiographic signs of trauma from occlusion are, there is thickened lamina dura, there is thickened lamina dura. On the lateral aspect of the root, in the percussion area, in the apical areas, you will see that the lamina dura is thickened. Then there is vertical destruction of interdental septum, of interdental septum. So here you will see that such defects, here you can see this is the vertical destruction, this is the vertical destruction. Here, this is the initial vertical destruction which you see in trauma from occlusion cases, this. Okay, so this type of vertical destructions will be seen in patients with trauma from occlusion, guys. And you can also see resorption in some cases. There can be resorption, or in some cases you can see hypercementosis. But in most of the cases, the features which you will find is thickened lamina dura and vertical destruction of the interdental septum. Okay. So now let us see the options once again. Increased width of periodontal space? No. There will be decreased width of the periodontal space. Root resorption? Yes, root resorption can be seen in some cases, but not always. A vertical rather than horizontal defect of, this is definitely one of the most important radiographic feature, and deep periodontal pockets. Periodontal pockets cannot be seen in radiographs, guys. So the answer to this question is a vertical rather than a horizontal tooth destruction of the interdental septum. The second best option to choose here will be root resorption. Okay, second best option to choose. So guys, with this we have completed our discussion of Rajasthan MO paper. And guys, if you have got any doubts, you can ask here in the comment section, or you can join our Telegram group and Facebook group, and there you can ask your questions. We'll definitely help you out. So thank you so much and all the best.